Welcome back, guys. Today we're on part 2 of our series on Springfield Healthcare, and we're going to focus on alternative medicine. Moving to Southern Missouri is the best thing I've ever done for my family. Considering that we were just talking about natural birth, I think it's appropriate to start talking about alternative healthcare in Springfield. I was not expecting to find what I have found in Springfield. It was actually something, along with great food, that I thought that I was going to really miss about California. And that is why I have a very special love for Springfield. From amazing restaurants to amazing alternative healthcare that is incredibly cutting edge. I've actually learned so many new modalities in Springfield that I'd never been exposed to, and I kind of thought I knew most of the modalities of alternative healthcare. I mean, that's not true. There's always new ones coming as well, and it's almost like infinite. There's so many different techniques, but really holistic care that's looking at, the entire system. And I think that makes a lot of sense versus, allopathic medicine really just looks at a symptom and then they want to give you drugs or cut something out or, really kind of over specialize and cure a symptom, while often they create 5 new symptoms or 5 new ailments. And that bothers me. I don't like that about Western medicine, and it's one reason that I pretty much try to stay away from it. We did go to Cox. We have gone to Cox numerous times now because of injuries that my eldest daughter sustained. The first one was a horse wreck. The second was a 4-wheeler wreck, and it was so stressful because they were just months apart. And the second one, the 4-wheeler wreck, it was something like 64 stitches. I believe it was 2 layers, but maybe there was even a 3rd layer of stitches, internal. And so I do feel like she came close to losing her life. I mean, luckily, she threw up her arm and protected her neck. She did get sliced across her neck as well, but they were able to glue her neck. And they just gave her such good care. There happened to be, I don't know the term for it, but someone who specializes in suturing, and he's supposed to be like one of the best in the nation, and he had come to train, and he was the one that actually did her stitches, and they were done very well. So my feeling about Western medicine versus alternative medicine is if me or a family member needs something set, like a bone set, something sewn back on, sewn up in any way, or just pieced back together, so we're talking severe trauma, I think Western medicine is magical. I mean, absolutely breathtaking. It is an art, and I have so much respect for Western medicine when it comes to severe trauma. It just happens to be, though, that when it comes to preventative medicine, when it comes to dealing with disease or dysfunction, I do not go to Western medicine. I feel like their techniques often get you sicker, and I truly believe that. So that is where the bulk of our medical care really is at home, actually. Both of my children too, I do want to say, full disclosure, neither of my children have had any kind of injection ever. Neither one has had any antibiotics ever. And I've had a lot. I mean, I have been told that my children should be taken away from me. Honestly. I mean, it's such a fiery feeling. You feel like you want to take someone's head off when they tell you that. I mean, it's done in a threatening way too. But you know what? I understand that they're coming from their perspective, which is that they believe that type of medicine is the best at keeping children healthy. And they're truly, I see it in their eyes now. And actually now I don't want to take their head off. I can understand where they're coming from, but it's so different than my belief system. So for me, it's something that I do. I'm a very forward person, but I'm actually pretty humble and, have a lot of things that I don't pat myself on the back for, but the fact that I've been able to cure all sickness at home naturally, without antibiotics is something that I do pride myself in. I know that we're not supposed to feel pride, but I feel good about it, because here's where I'm coming from as a mother, is that I want to know that my children's immune systems are as strong as possible. When and if it ever happens where they do need antibiotics, boy, are they gonna work. And both my girls, they have such healthy, intestines, never, all the stories I hear from other parents, especially ones, who've had a lot of injections and just a lot of antibiotics. I mean, most kids have taken antibiotics 10, 15, 20 times. I mean, a lot. And they have so many intestinal problems, and they're just finding out that our intestinal system is kind of like the foundation of our immune system. The research that's going on right now is so mind-blowing in terms of bowel health. To me, it seems incredibly important, where in our culture, we're kind of we accept really a lot of dis-ease, in our intestinal system, in our tract. And I think it's probably gonna reveal itself over time that it's been a root cause of a lot of ailments and disease that until this point, we've just kind of been I don't know where it comes from. A lot of scientists saying that there's connections between bowel health and mental health. And they're digging deep onto parasites too, and that microbiome, and finding that actually some parasites are beneficial, which that blew me away. It might be why some people, when they go too hard into parasite cleanse, and I want to say that I am an avid supporter of parasite cleanse. I think that we all should be doing it. I also think it's why the Bible tells us 20 different times that we should fast. I think that we need to maintain a balance of parasites. And they're actually finding that now too with bowel health, but also mental health. And that certain parasite, overload, specific parasites is actually leading to bad mental health and different, ailments. So all really, really fascinating. So there are a couple different providers that we've used in Springfield that I do want to mention. And the first that it's just so near and dear to my heart, actually both of them are, but is Kare Health. And Kare is now, I feel like they're becoming a bit more mainstream actually after COVID. So Kare, of course, I would say that they're probably known the most for IV supplements and, different IV therapies. But during COVID, they really pushed just basic immune building and holistic care dealing with symptoms of COVID, which ironically are the same symptoms as pneumonia and the flu. And they did that through all sorts of different immune building minerals and nutrients, but really super dosing with vitamin C. And I recommend anyone, if you're interested in this topic, is to look at the Asian countries. I want to say, is it Singapore? I forget, but there was a bunch of Asian countries that came out. And of course, it was kind of deleted a little bit from the internet. Hopefully you can still find it. But they were curing almost all COVID patients with super dosing intravenous vitamin C. Pretty amazing. Before all the COVID stuff, hey, we called sickness pneumonia and the flu. And my daughter and I, and like I just had said in that rant, I'd cured everything at home. And I was so sick. Let's see, it was 2018. My daughter and I were so sick, and we actually both started coughing up blood, and nothing was working. In the past, I was actually much more focused on tinctures, which I rarely use herbal remedies really anymore, and that could be a whole other topic. I do still use them though, actually, and if someone looked at my life, they'd be like, "Lady, you use tons of herbal remedies." But back then, I was incredibly heavy on tinctures. I was the kind of person that a whole wall of different tinctures. And I did love as like a prepper that they last forever, really. I mean, you can have like a tincture and pass it on to your kids. But now I truly believe that if we're giving our body, first of all, like proper nutrients, if we're not deficient in anything, deficiency is huge, that really the need for herbal remedies is much, much less. So anyway, at that time, we pretty much had pneumonia. You know, that's a self-diagnosis, but the rattling liquid in the lungs, and I mean, it just seemed like pneumonia to me. And I was feeling really stumped. I couldn't cure it. And I was at that point, which has happened several different times, where I'm like, okay, I need to find like a Western doctor specialist that can cure us. And I just so happened to talk to a friend, and she's like, oh my gosh, we were so sick, and we just started super dosing with vitamin C, and it's absolutely been amazing. So I dug into that research, and wow, just vitamin C. And of course, there's different debates on the type of vitamin C, liposomal, and all of those different aspects and types. But super dosing with vitamin C cured us within 3 days. So, and I would say too that like I have got antibiotics before. Like I've had struggled with curing a sickness, went and got the antibiotics, got home, was then inspired to try one more thing, one more technique, or, you know, a different type of remedy, and always have cured it. So that time though with pneumonia, that was the worst sickness we'd ever been through in terms of like something that we just couldn't kick. And so it did give me a special affinity and belief in superdosing with vitamin C. Now, I don't have like tons of experience or knowledge about it, but there's a lot of people who are saying they're reversing like massive, like, you know, fatal diseases and different sicknesses that have happened from like injection damage. People are saying they're reversing it with superdosing with vitamin C. And I don't have any knowledge or experience about that. I just have noticed that the people who support vitamin C is like this really wide group of people, and they're using it for so many different things. So all I can do is speak to my own experience, but for whatever reason, Kare Health seems to really believe in it, and they too do it intravenous, and they stayed open all throughout COVID and were just packed. There were times where people, for whatever reason, either couldn't get into a hospital or didn't feel safe going into the hospital because they felt very like forced into different things, you know, whether it was like remdesivir or however you say that COVID medicine, where there's a lot of stories about fatalities with that drug. People, you know, just having concern about the care that they would get at the hospital. So they went to this place called Kare Health, and they were just, man, you know, I'm not a medical professional. All I can say is that their testimonies of people having complete rapid recovery was profound. And so what was neat is that really kind of, I feel like since COVID, alternative healthcare is even more widespread in Springfield and more embraced by people that have never embraced it before, which is really, really cool. And one of the cool things that came out of COVID. So yeah, I actually did not go to Kare for vitamin C though, because we do that at home, but I went to Kare for chelation. And there is a lot of different pros and cons that people feel about chelation. Some people believe that it's just too hard on the system to bring up and try to flush all of your heavy metal toxicity, and that it's really, really dangerous, and that it can resettle. People talk about it, fear of it resettling in your brain and actually like becoming more acute there. I personally feel that it really helped me. I did it over a long period. I mean, I want to say it was like a 6-month period. And I mean, I know that some people say too that like the tests of heavy metals aren't incredibly accurate because things like lead can go like dormant into your bones. But I got to watch kind of the whole process of how it all came out. And I actually did not test the first time they tested everything. And also what I like about Kare is they test everything. So I got to find out what was imbalanced, what I was deficient in, and I was able to bring up all of those things all through this process, and that was pretty awesome. But in terms of my heavy metals, so what I really was through the roof, I was through the roof with mercury, through the roof with aluminum and barium and strontium. I think they tested for strontium. It was definitely barium and aluminum, and there's theories of why that's really high in people almost across the country now. But aluminum is a really big one because it is definitely linked to neurological decline. So I take that seriously. Mercury was a huge concern, and even my doctors, they just started me out on advanced chelation. Usually you do a challenge where you stir up all the heavy metals and then you get tested again, and they start you out slow and then they go into the advanced. They said my numbers were so high without even stirring up the heavy metals that they were really concerned. So yeah, I started out with advanced, which was a pretty intense thing. And I do want to tell people that it's probably better to start out a little bit more mild, because the first 2 times I had a really bad fever. After that, I mean, maybe after like the 4th time of getting it, I didn't feel anything. And I was like, I remember like after the 4th time doing it, my family was like, "Are you feeling okay?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "You did chelation." And I was like, "Oh, I forgot." Like I felt fine. And then it was just really kind of just this increasingly, positive experience where I felt all these different health benefits. I think it was about 6 months of it. It's not cheap. Like, I don't know how many thousands I spent, but definitely a few thousand. But to me, so here's where, and my husband has had a hard time with this. He's starting to realize, like, 1, you get what you pay for. 2, I just have accepted that I pay for natural health because it's not paid for by insurance companies very, very rarely. And I would rather pay a few thousand here and there throughout my life than just get slammed with all this debilitating disease at the end of my life, which is what most of us accept. And so that's what I don't want to do. So yeah, all in all, amazing experience. This is very personal information, but you guys are family. So I actually started chelation because I was having fertility issues, and I am older. I'm 41, I think. We have disagreement about this. I'm either 40, 41, or 42. I'll have to add it up. No, I'm pretty sure I'm 41. And I also was getting to that point where I just thought, I might just not be able to have a baby anymore. But I had a handful of miscarriages, all early term miscarriages. And I just came across a video that was talking about how heavy metal toxicity really negatively impacts fertility. And I had tried a lot of different things. I felt that I had exhausted, other than doing fertility treatment like in a hospital. I just personally, that's not for me. Like, I kind of just want to go with this God thing. It's like, it's either happening naturally or not, is kind of the person that I am. And also I have 2 beautiful daughters. So it's like, I'm not totally desperate. We also are open to adoption. So I think there's a lot of options to bring children into your home. But anyway, so I'd had a few miscarriages. I did the 6 months of chelation, and literally like a week after I was done, got pregnant. And I'll show you guys my belly. I'm either 15 or 16 weeks pregnant now. I'm really bad at calculating. And now I have no proof that this was from detoxing heavy metals, but to me, there's a correlation there. I mean, I tried a lot of different things, a lot of different health, different fertility things and herbal stuff and just all sorts of stuff. And that's what seemed to work. I think that it's at least worth considering that, heavy metal toxicity might be a bigger deal to our health than we realize. I personally don't see myself doing chelation a lot. Like, some people kind of continue to do it here and there. I see myself doing it again as I get older, And one thing that the people at Kare joked about, they're like, "Boy, this baby's not going to have like any heavy metals from you," like very few heavy metals, where it's true, through the birthing canal, but also a lot of it is breast milk. Mothers pass on this huge heavy metal toxicity to their sweet babies, and that's always bothered me so much. And I've tried to do like gentle heavy metal detox before getting pregnant, but this one is for real. This is the heaviest hitting heavy metal detox, and I've done a lot of different types. Chelation is in its own category. So for me, I'm a big believer of it. I met so many people at Kare that are doing it for so many different things. A lot of people are doing, alternative cancer treatments there, and a lot of people trying out chelation and different ozone therapies that they have there and getting amazing success. Here's a clip from a woman who gives an amazing testimony of how much Kare has helped her.
Back in February of 2018, I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, breast cancer. So right away, they wanted to get me started on chemo, radiation. Everyone was rushing me into all of these decisions that I really didn't feel comfortable with at all. I had a friend who loaned me the DVD series, The Truth About Cancer, and I learned about alternative therapies. It was just by accident that I decided to just Google high-dose vitamin C in Springfield, Missouri, and I found Kare. I made the call, and the first time I came here to Kare, it was just such a different experience. Once I started getting the high-dose vitamin C here at Kare Health and Wellness, I immediately started seeing an improvement in my blood work. I've learned a lot about cancer through this journey. It's not, just a tumor in my breast. There is something bigger going on in my body, and that is something that I have learned with the help of people like Kare and the entire staff here at Kare. Here, you're treated holistically. They're not just treating a symptom, they're treating the entire body to bring you back to health so that you can fight that cancer and boost your immune system, which is the first line of defense against cancer, so to make sure that it doesn't come back. Conventional medicine just doesn't do that. It's a great testimony as to the power of alternative medicine and the fact that you need to listen to your intuition. If you don't feel comfortable with something, there's a reason why. And I'm just really grateful that my intuition led me to Kare.
And here is a different clip. This is the founder of Kare and why she was led to start Kare after just really trying to do a lot of different techniques in Western medicine and just being frustrated because she was spending so much time and money and effort and nothing was getting better. And what happens in Western medicine is if they can't figure it out, they say you're crazy. So that's actually what led her to kind of questing on her own. And here's a clip from the founder.
We are unique here at Kare Health and Wellness in that we are a small, independent, locally owned practice. We are operated by nurse practitioners rather than physicians. Your experience that you're going to get here is going to be quite different than what you may have gotten through a large health system. We have patients that travel from all over the country to see us because they can't get answers where they are. I practice functional medicine because I've been that patient. And that journey of my own changed the way that I practice medicine. And through discovering functional medicine and looking at the root cause and the body as a whole in one system, I was able to figure out what was wrong with me and eventually correct those issues and get the life that I had lost back. I love that patients get better here. They thrive, we celebrate with them, we share in their story, we share in their experiences, and it's such a rewarding field to be in because, as I said before, people get better. I do feel like that we provide something that no one else here can provide.
So the other facility that I want to tell you guys about is a chiropractor that provides so many different things. And I'm forgetting the doctor's name. I feel terrible for that because we love him, but because the office is called Chestnut Wellness Center, I actually forget the doctor's name. He's awesome though. He went to Logan, which is a really reputable chiropractic school here in Missouri. Kind of, I don't know if they're world renowned, but definitely really renowned in our nation. And yeah, so he does acupuncture, which I've done so much in my life. And, after becoming Christian, I did debate it. Like, is it witchcraft? Because you guys, there's so much and you just have to really, I think, search it out in your own heart and soul, and then also research, the history. There is a lot of different Christian people, especially here on YouTube, that say that acupuncture is witchcraft and, dealing with like demonic kind of entities. And I disagree. And I've done a lot of soul searching about it. I quit doing acupuncture for years after becoming Christian, just out of a fear that, was it? And I was still kind of trying to suss it out in me. And I really don't believe it. What acupuncture is, it's about the idea that we are electrical and magnetic beings, and that we have all of these meridian points that energy flows from, and that they get blockages, and that by stimulating them with a very pinpointed pressure, which is a very tiny, tiny needle that doesn't really hurt, brings all this stimulation. And then there's two main techniques. One is using a moxa stick, and that's providing heat, which you kind of find less and less in the States now. And that's because people were actually, sometimes getting burned because it's a burning stick. The other technique that he uses that I think is actually kind of better is electrostimulation. So like little electric kind of pulses and an electric charge that goes through the needles. And I think it's amazing. And I actually had never actually met an acupuncturist that had done that. I've worked with very traditional acupuncturists that are, very much traditional Chinese medicine, and never was exposed to like the electric current plus acupuncture. And I think it's amazing. So we went, we've gone to him for a few different things, but my eldest daughter, gosh, a lot of injury in the last year and a half that she's had. But this was really like her first big injury. She fell down a flight of stairs, and I didn't know how bad it was. I'm going to be honest, I don't mean this to be disrespectful, because I'm klutzy too, but she is one of the klutziest people I've ever met. And I thought that it wasn't that bad, and she was just kind of doing this dramatic yell. And then I saw what I'd never even heard of before. It's called a hematoma. And she had what was the size of a grapefruit. And it just absolutely blew me away. My husband and I had so many injuries, sports injuries, and we'd never heard of hematomas, which are actually not that rare, but it really freaked us out. And at that point I did research. I didn't find anything that seemed like a suitable cure. I have later found out that there is you can go to a hospital and have them drained, which I probably would have done that actually if we had heard about it. A lot of the stuff I was reading was just kind of there's not much you can do. So anyway, he did, I want to say 12 sessions of acupuncture, so points all around the hematoma, which was, it was grapefruit size, in her lower back. And I believe that would have led to a lot of just impingement of nerve, and obviously not good, you know what I mean, to have that much swelling and fluid for that long. She had it for about a year and a half. So he did all these different points around it, and then hooked them all up to that electro, stimulation machine. And he melted it. I personally can, when I palpitate the area, I can't even feel it. She says she can kind of feel it. I've even tried skin rolling the area, and I just feel her skin. She says that she can feel it, but it's literally, I can't. So I would say it's gone, or very, very minute, which just was so, so cool. So she also then, throwing a softball, she damaged her rotator cuff. And of course, we didn't go to the hospital. I know that would be what a lot of parents would do, but instead we went to this chiropractor, and he did all of these neat, he did chiropractic, which I don't believe in chiropractic as long-term therapy. I truly believe that you can get to the systemic root of an injury, and that chiropractic is good as a peripheral, adjunct therapy. But I don't believe that it should be a lot of people just chronically, consistently go to a chiropractor, and I think they need to dig deeper into health. But he's really awesome. He's looking to cure things, and he did kind of this fascia, almost skin rolling, breaking up the fascia, breaking up the scar tissue. He did adjustments, he did acupuncture. So she was getting all these different modalities. I believe he was doing 3 different modalities just on her rotator cuff, and she does not complain about pain at all. And the reason, and it was a little bit pricey. It was $1,500, and we of course paid that out of pocket. To me, I've had a torn rotator cuff, and it has been an injury, and I've done Western stuff for it. I haven't done surgery, but I even, back in the day when I was really young, didn't know any better, and I just take their pain pills, and nothing that Western medicine did ever truly helped my rotator cuff. It wasn't until I did Rolfing, which is a form of tearing apart the fascia, which is painful, and allowing your body to heal with that new fascia with no more scar tissue, that I finally healed my rotator cuff. I don't feel like I have any rotator cuff issues. And so knowing all of the years and years and years that I went through with rotator cuff pain and how agonizing it was, I just didn't want my daughter to go through that. And I wanted to just, we're gonna go whole hog. We're gonna go full court press on this rotator cuff and just get this healed now. And I'm gonna tell you what, you guys, it worked. We don't even talk about her shoulder anymore, which it was very debilitating and kept getting worse. So yeah, he cured that. So he cured in my mind, 2 pretty major things in my daughter, which of course I'm going to always love the man. I feel like love and so much gratitude towards him. And then my husband has been doing hyperbaric oxygen. And so for those of you that haven't heard about it, I recommend researching it. Western medicine is going to tell you that it's only good for injury and post-surgery care, but there's so much. So if you're really interested in it, you might need to dig deeper into what some of the alternative health practitioners are using it for. Of course, I'm not a doctor and I'm not attesting to any of this, but people are talking about putting in, even young children into hyperbaric oxygen chambers who are autistic and nonverbal, and they're becoming verbal. Autistic kids that couldn't walk, that then could walk. Just crazy, crazy things. A lot of people doing, different neurological healing. So people who have had strokes, different stuff with MS, dementia, all sorts of different brain things. So if you've had a lot of concussions, it's actually healing the brain, because after, I want to say 5 sessions, you actually have new stem cell growth in your brain. So it's leading to that brain plasticity and all of that remapping of the brain, plus actually producing new stem cells in the brain. It is mind-blowing. I believe in it right as soon, and call me crazy, but there are a lot of modalities. I call it a yes-no response. I do believe it is a gift from God. I'm a hard no or a strong magnetic yes. And I feel that with a lot of things in life. I do believe, people call it the gut, which is ironic because we talked about gut health, but it is intuition. And I think that it is a God connection. And I just felt a strong yes towards hyperbaric. And the more I dig, the more I feel it is incredibly beneficial, and it can be used for so many different things that are debilitating, and so many different ailments that are ruining people's lives. And yeah, I believe in it. So my husband has been doing it originally for a really bad back injury, but so many different things. And he's had so many different concussions, and we both had traumatic childhoods. There's just a lot that we need to heal in our brains. And I joke that I've had so many concussions that I don't remember them all. And it's kind of a joke and kind of for real. But if you've just been in multiple car wrecks, you know what I'm talking about. There's a toll there. And so it's incredibly inspiring to us that there's stuff that Western medicine says that can't be cured, that alternative medicine is going, wanna bet? Awesome, you guys. Thanks for sticking with me as always. And we are at the end of our 2-part series on healthcare in Springfield. In short, Springfield offers cutting-edge care, both with traditional hospitals, but also with alternative practices. It's worth the drive, and for our family, we always seek professional healthcare in Springfield, Missouri. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you want more info on living in Southern Missouri. As always, my information is in the description. Call, text, email, or set up a Zoom if you're planning to make a move to the Ozarks. Thank you, and see you next time.